Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to MRC on a Wednesday night. It is 8:46 UK time, which means that it is time for the X-Treme tier, the no assist tier here in MRC. We are here for round 9 of the Season 14 Championship, which is the Canadian Grand Prix from the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, and it's looking like a nice sunny day at the moment for qualifying for this race. We've got 19 drivers in the lobby tonight, so nearly a full lobby. We've got a short qualifying session of 18 minutes, followed by a 50% race, which will be 35 laps. My name's Nev. You might know me better as Chatty Duck. And joining me tonight, I think this is a first for the comms lineup. I've got Mark Dennison with me, aka Simba. So, very good evening to you.
Evening, Neville. Yeah, it is the first time we've managed this. We were rotated a couple of times, but for other obvious reasons it hasn't happened, so first time tonight, let's hope we can have a good one.
Yeah, I think at the moment you can't rely on the comms lineup when it first comes out at the start of the week. You've got to wait until you are in the lobby for the race to know exactly who it's going to be. It's been one of those seasons.
It has. I think a couple of times was down to me anyway. I've had problems with my PlayStation recently. It's got a little bit warm after the race tonight, so if you can hear any wind noise, it's because I'm trying to cool it down a little bit. Hopefully make it last to the end of this.
Yeah, it sounds okay. I can't hear anything, but yeah, hopefully that stays in one piece, stays intact, and hopefully we get a good race tonight at the Canadian Grand Prix. We've got a few drivers just out on track for their out laps, and
Chris
Colin
Bailey's
in the Ferrari.
Just about to start a lap as well.
Oh, yep. He's yep. There he goes into turns 1 and 2. A man who finished P2 in Tier 1 on Monday night, so he has got a pretty good feel for this racetrack at this point in the week. Yeah, just coming through the first sector, 19.5 seconds through there in the Cash App RB. So we'll stick on board with Chris and just see how he gets on for the rest of this lap.
You say finished P2 on Monday. I should have asked him for his setup.
Yeah, well, he had a bit of a very close finish with my teammate actually, Anthony, but Anthony was demoted for a corner cut out of the final corner, which allowed him to overtake Chris. So we had a little bit of controversy in that one, but ultimately Chris got himself a P2.
Colin sets the first time with a 10.3. Let's see what Chris can do though on his beloved mediums. Wow, 9.9 on mediums.
Yeah, very impressive from Chris. He's certainly at this point had a lot of practice around here and has really got the rhythm for this circuit now. And a 9.9 on mediums, I don't know what that sort of translates to as a potential soft time, but it'll be very quick, that's for sure.
I have noticed in the past with Chris, obviously know him quite well, we've met up a few times and he's helped me a lot with the racing. He doesn't improve as much on the softs as what a lot of drivers do. He really loves the mediums. He always has done. So you seem to get the best out of him on his mediums, and whereas most people will improve a second, he'll improve maybe half.
That's interesting.
It's just something about him. He clicks with the mediums a lot better. And we've got a Gurney retired.
Yeah, I think that's in the pits. Oh no, maybe it's not. Maybe is that? Oh no, that was. I saw a Mercedes on the track map. There's a Mercedes on the track map who was stopped, but I think he was just letting people through.
That must be Lorpy then. See, we've got a couple of new guys tonight as well. The MA7 Mudev, who's just about to finish a lap, and Lethal Strike. So welcome to MRC, guys. Let's see how they get on for the evening.
Yeah, welcome indeed. Very good to have you. I know that we've had a few reserves have to field some of the driver spots tonight for this race. I guess we're just in that time of year at the moment where people are still just coming back from summer holidays and things. But we should still have a good grid.
It's always a bit tricky this time of year. I mean, I see it at work as well. 1 minute we're really busy, next minute we're quiet. It's like you really can't predict it. And last week especially was pretty quiet overall, with it being the last week of the holidays. This week it's the transition of all the kids going back on varying days depending on whereabouts in the country you are.
Yeah.
So it'll be probably next week before things kick back to normal.
Yeah, you'd have thought so. And then it'll be everyone getting ill because all the kids go back to school and get ill and get everyone else ill in the process. So
exactly.
It's my favourite bit.
Happens every time.
Yeah. Just watching my Tier 1 teammate Anthony in the McLaren coming across the line, and he goes P2 for the moment as Chris goes quicker once again on those medium tyres. So not only is he quick on the mediums, but he's got durable pace on them as well.
What is this guy all? I'm personally just watching Lethal Strikeout on the newbie. See how he gets on. He's just getting to the hairpin. I haven't seen his split times properly, so maybe I just need to pay a bit more attention, but he looks alright so far.
Yeah, he's got a Red Bull in front of him, but not close enough to impede him by the looks of things.
Toe at the moment, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully it doesn't throw him too much for the final corner with the wind draft and everything, but 10.5, clearly the toe was nice for him.
Yeah, and looked pretty tidy for what I saw, as Savio goes quickest, 109.6 on the softs.
I'll keep an eye on the guy who took the Tier 3 win on the track. I know he didn't actually get it in the end, he lost it on a penalty, but let's see how Stu gets on. He had some really good pace tonight.
Yeah, he was good last week as well at Saudi.
He was really good. He's good most weeks, to be fair. I was in a party with him tonight, and his pace is it's cranked up so many notches in the last few seasons. I think he's got to grips with this game a lot better than some have. But I remember when me and him were on similar pace, we started, obviously he was in front of me. I could not keep up with him at all. His pace is through the roof.
Yeah, I've seen a few Tier 3 races on stream recently, and he's certainly been one who does seem to have improved as the season has gone on as well.
Although he's tried his best to keep up with Bobo.
Yeah, and that's not an easy task at all.
That guy's on another level.
Yeah.
I can't believe the pace he's got. I mean last week he didn't qualify at all, and I think he still was on the podium. He didn't qualify this week either, I don't think.
No, I think he's committed to that for the rest of the season. Just last to first challenge, and he's got the championship pretty much sewn up.
Yeah, it does seem that way. Let's have a quick look at Glorious League founder, single track, was just invalidated. Maybe I shouldn't have gone on board with him. He'll be telling me off after this, commentator's curse.
Yeah.
Freddie improves to a 110.7.
Just watching Lorpy come through the third sector, getting the DRS open, with just the final chicane to go for him in the Mercedes.
Yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on Baby Hornet, who was also invalidated. Maybe I need to stop watching people. That's the second person in a row I've watched, and they're both invalidated at the exact same corner.
Maybe it's not watching them, it's just that, you know, keep quiet and then wait until they finish the lap and then say, oh, I was watching him. He looked alright.
He invalidated just before I opened my mouth. They were like, oh, yeah. No point mentioning that then.
It's very easy done round here, to be fair. With the nature of the chicanes, you've got to be quite aggressive with them to get the lap time.
That's the problem, and it's so hard.
Kaiser Soze, P13, 111.898. I think he can do a bit better than that because I raced with him on Monday and he was doing very well indeed. So hopefully we see him make his way up the grid a little bit more.
I wonder if he's struggling with the seat a little bit. I do apologise. I may have left it a bit squelchy. I promise it's not wee though. I've just got a little bit warm in the car.
Hear a voice now is on a lap.
Although what were you saying about Kaiser doing better? He's 6/10 up at the end of the second sector.
He's got a bit more settled into that seat you were occupying.
Yeah, seems to have.
Lethal Strike, by the way, puts himself on provisional pole.
19.5. What a lap.
Very
He's
impressive.
Really thrown it down to the RB boys.
Yeah, and Xavier and Chris as well. Not just any RB boys, some of the quickest guys in Tier 1. So that's a very impressive effort from Lethal Strike.
Oh, the two guys who dominated MRCX for multiple seasons. We had championships won at the final race by a gap of 0.011.
Wow.
I remember that. I was on comms for it, and me and Connor did not know until the results came up who had won that race, and therefore the championship.
That's crazy.
They were locked together all race. You could not separate them for anything.
That might be worth a little dig into the archive on YouTube to find that one.
It was definitely a good one. It was in Brazil. Season... I'm trying to think now. Yeah, I'm really puzzled with that one. Maybe Connor might be able to help which season it was. It was definitely one worth watching though. It was when the finale was at Brazil, I know that much. I believe it was a 100% race as well.
Oh, okay.
So,
100% race and it came down to 0.01. Jeez.
Yeah, absolutely mental that was.
Got Baby Hornet a couple of tenths up after the first sector, which, well, at the moment it wouldn't improve his position, but if he can carry on that sort of improvement, it should see him into the top 10, as he's got Ferrari just in front as well, which is Colin. I don't know if he's close enough to get a bit of a tow, but we'll have to see if he can improve.
MRCX.
There's up to the line, Baby Hornet goes P6, so he did find a lot of time in the rest of the lap, 8 tenths. And that's a pretty solid lap time from the Aston Martin driver, as the Ferrari of Colin, just in front, has now started another lap for him, sitting in P5 at the moment. Anthony has put himself onto the front row. He's also in the 109.5s. Back into the pits he comes. So the top 4 in the pits as it stands, but we've still got 4 minutes left in this session, so plenty of time for them to get another lap in if they want to.
Yeah, I think there'll be another round of laps. To save you digging too much, MRCX Season 10 it was.
Okay.
I've just found the video and it's 0.011 that Sabia beats Chris by after 72 laps. That was one of the craziest comms I have ever done.
I'll definitely give that a check out. Maybe not tonight, it'll be a bit late after this race, but...
It is quite a long race, it's that one.
Yeah.
Although the first season that Ajoni won as well, that finale is worth watching as well. At Silverstone, it was Ajoni versus Reese Whitcomb, and it came down to the final lap of the final race.
Yeah, I remember that one.
By less than a second.
Yeah, that was actually my first season in MRC.
Was it?
Yeah, well, full time. I did a bit of reserving before that. And actually, is that true? Might be true. It was around that time anyway.
That was season 9.
Okay.
I've just looked up on the Hall of Champions. It was season 9 and he only won his first. And since then he's been practically unstoppable.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's going to prove it again today from the back of the grid. How unstoppable he actually is.
I would not be surprised in the slightest.
I really wouldn't. The pace that guy has got is another level.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, fair play to him. That's what... How many seasons in a row now?
5? Is it 5?
He's had 5 in a row. And he's probably about to take 3 this season as well. So that'll make him an 8-time champion.
Yeah. And it's over the course of, like 3 or 4 different games as well, and the different handling models and everything. So it's just, he's clearly very adaptable as well.
Season 9 was F122.
Yeah.
It was the second season on F122, and I believe season 10 was the last season on 22.
Okay.
So he's done 22, 3 on 23, and he's about to do it on 24 now.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't stop the guy. He is literally the GOAT of MRC now.
Yeah, absolutely.
See who's on laps.
I'm just watching
starting them now.
Anthony again on a lap, but I think Xavier is warming up his tyres a bit more before he gets started. Chris Bailey might be doing the same. Lethal Strike has just started a lap.
Chris just pulled over to let some people past as well, and he's playing Canadian Drift during one of the chicanes at the moment. Single track's just starting a lap though.
Anthony goes pole, 109.2.
Oh, what a lap that was.
That is going to take some beating, although Lethal Strike is up by a 10th after Sector 1. And now
single track's up by a 10th as well, although he needs a lot more than a 10th, but any improvement's good, and the track is now at its peak.
Yep. Xavier improves through Sector 1.
That line is going to be really loving it if they don't mess up.
Lethal Strike has invalidated, unfortunately, so he won't be improving. Oh, and Xavier as well. He's invalidated. And Chris is pitting. So all of a sudden, it looks like Anthony might be on pole position.
It's the pressure of that final lap.
Yeah. The margins, you've really got to absolutely nail it around here with the... It's just the way the chicanes are, I feel. You've got to attack them, but if you attack them too much, as LRL goes for a bit of a spin, you've just got to attack it so much. Lap. Yeah.
3/10 up and invalidated at the chicane with the bridge before the hairpin.
Oh, yeah.
Just took a little bit too much. Oh, damn.
So infuriating.
I wasn't getting pole anyway, but any improvement is always good. Single track improved a couple of tenths. LRL, is he on for anything? No.
Era Voice potentially. Era Voice up to the final chicane. And up to the line he comes, staying on the right hand side, and he improves to 10th position with a 10.7.
Nice.
And that's it. So Anthony takes pole by just under 0.3 of a second from Lethal Strike, who so far so good for him as a new member of the league. And then we've got the two Kashap RB boys in 3rd and 4th, and we'll just go through a bit of a run of the rest of the grid when we get the full leaderboard. Ugoni, of course, opting not to qualify. So there we go. Ant on pole from Lethal Strike, and then Xavier and Chris Bailey. Colin in 5th, LRL in 6th, Single Track in P7, followed by Baby Hornet. Friddy in 9th, Iravoice 10th, Laupi or Lorpi 11, Armour Red P12, Kaiser Soze 13th, Wumax in 14th, Mahmood 15th, then it's Captain Nib, Stube and Smit and Ugoni starting in last place for the Canadian Grand Prix.
The fun thing there was Chris Bailey's lap was actually his medium lap. He never improved again.
Yeah, just to prove what you were saying.
Oh,
Ooh,
it's wet. Oh, I feel this pain.
This looks a lot like Tier 1 on Monday. Light rain for the start.
And we obviously Tier 3 had rain at the end, but it really throws the cat amongst the pigeons. And this track is so hard to get right when it's wet, because you slide obviously on the dries.
Yep.
I know I'd planned to stay out a couple more laps before I had a little trip into the wall, but I think I needed to stay out another 5 or 6 laps to make them intermediates work, because the rears were just overheating so badly. But on the dries you've barely any grip unless you're on a really soft compound, which historically at Canada do not last anyway. It's quite hard on tyres.
Yeah.
So on the hards you've barely got any grip at all. You're sliding all over the place. You go onto the intermediates, feels alright for about 2 or 3 laps, then the rears overheat and it makes it even worse.
And there's quite a few corners on this track, I feel, where traction is really important. Obviously out of the hairpin. The other one I'm thinking of, I can't think of the corner name off the top of my head. I think it's out of turn 6, like the third chicane, before the one under the bridge that you mentioned before. I feel like traction there is quite limiting sometimes, especially in the wet.
That's, I believe, turn 7 and 8. I know which one you mean.
Yeah.
Because even in the dry, it's sort of the back end switches and you head towards the wall trying to run it wide.
Yeah.
Ready for that DRS zone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that one is a bit of a nightmare. I mean, it's like the tyres at the end. It was literally Canadian drift the whole way around.
Mm-hmm.
So then you get the choice of, do you pit again and get a fresh set of inters and try and catch up, or do you just suffer it out? It really depends how much wet is on this track.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like that for Tier 1 as well.
I remember a Tier 3 race on the last game. It was like this at the start and it made everybody start on dry tyres.
Yeah, that's what happened to us on Monday, actually. Well, yeah, it was like this. It was like rain, but we had to start on the slicks.
If you could last the first 5 to 6 laps, you were golden.
Mm.
There were a bunch of them that pitted at the end of the first lap, and then they were crying again by lap 8 when it had gone dry.
Yeah, and actually, Captain Nibs is in the chat now to say that they are starting on dry tyres for this as well. So it's happened again.
To be fair, it does look more like a dry tyre weather. I know it's a little bit damp and slippy.
Mm.
Or as Baby Hornet would love me to say, moist. Sorry mate, got to throw that in there for you, but it's not wet enough for intermediates, isn't this? They will burn up so fast it'd be unreal.
Yeah, but like you say, have they got the grip for on the dries as well?
You're going to have to be tentative, but it is more dry weather than wet weather at the moment.
Yeah. And try as hard
as you can. It could make
for
an interesting start, and hopefully everybody is very sensible, finds the grip before they start pushing too much. Unfortunately, I know them Tier 1 boys at the front are just going to go mental. And it's going to go one of two ways. They're either going to set stonking times and have a great battle, or somebody's going to end up in a wall because they push a little bit too much. Either way, it'll be good. Well, very entertaining to watch.
Yeah, definitely. And we've got Ugoni, of course, starting at the back. He'll be making his way through, I've no doubt.
I'll be keeping an eye on him quite a bit, I think. I want to see how many positions he can gain.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's a mix of tiers in here, and some of them are going to be very, very tentative.
Yeah.
Has he got the Italian nuts to make it work? And just be gung-ho from the start?
I would say yes.
Even though he's driving a German car.
Yeah, not ideal.
Well, a German car that's built in England.
Yeah. I mean, I did think that Ugoni drove a Ferrari in X-Treme as well, but maybe not.
He didn't have a seat in X-Treme from the start of the season.
Ah, okay.
He reserved a couple of races, and then he's ended up taking a full-time seat, so he got what he was given.
And he's probably leading the championship already.
Because of the split between Tier 1 and Tier 2, obviously each tier gets their own points in this one. It's quite unusual. I believe him and, is it Armar Red, who's Tier 2, are actually joint on points.
Okay.
Because they had sort of the same points finishes, but slightly different order.
Yeah.
But they're the two it's battling out between. So neither can really afford to miss a race or have a bad race where they end up in a wall.
No.
Armar will be absolutely loving it if Agoni doesn't get through to P1.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, Chris and Xavier are the two that I mean, I should throw my teammate in that mix as well, Anthony. I mean, he is on pole. They're all very quick guys. It's not just going to be easy for Ugoni to come back and take the win, but
yeah, definitely don't miss Ant out of that. When he first joined, he was quick, but not as quick as he is now. He's played a lot of catch up in the last few seasons, and his pace is through the roof. I mean, he's won a championship with us now, hasn't he? Won at MRCX last season.
Yeah, he has come on in leaps and bounds, and there's been a few times I can think of in recent seasons in Tier 1 when his pace has been right up there with the likes of Ugoni and Kid Dynamite and Reese and Chris. It's been, definitely don't write this man off by any means.
Maybe when F1 23 came out, I obviously started a little dabble in Tier 1 myself, and he was slightly quicker than me, but not massively. And then all of a sudden he just rocketed right up there. He was at the top of the table all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, where has this come from? He's clearly put a lot of effort in, found something with setups that works for him.
Yeah. Interestingly, we've got...
If you've got the time, you make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. Despite the conditions, we've got a full mixture of the dry compounds. We've got medium runners, we've got soft runners, we've got a few hard runners in the middle and towards the back as well. So all the drivers have taken a different approach to this one.
Yeah, I can see that. We've got Colin and Era Voice on softs, Friddy, Mahmoudev and Smith all on hards, and everybody else has gone mediums.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an interesting mix to start. I'm going to jump on board with Agoni and see how it looks from his perspective. Always good to see a back of the grid.
Yeah, definitely. It's a bit easier actually on this game as well, because the broadcast camera at the front can be, for the starts, it's just not very good sometimes. Hopefully it's better tonight.
For the last few games, to be fair, they've not really concentrated much on the broadcasting side of it.
No.
I think they saved that for the esports build. They get all the best.
Anyway, it's almost go time. 5 red lights for the Canadian Grand Prix. A long hold, but we're underway now, and it looks like a fairly even start up at the front. Baby Hornet has left the session already. That's not good news for him, but we can see Lethal Strike going right around the outside of Anthony into the first couple of corners, and there's that Chris Bailey as well possibly getting through on the inside of Ant into the second chicane and going a bit wide. I think Xavier went across the grass as well, so it's a virtual safety car as well.
Yeah, a little bit of jostling at the back. Wumax had a bit of a trip onto the grass, but I'm not seeing any major issues. There must be a broken wing somewhere though to cause the virtual. I'm just trying to work out. That could be Wumax. Yeah, he's missing an end plate. That's why we've got the virtual.
Okay, yeah, there was no sign of anyone obviously facing the wrong way or anything, so which is good. We want everyone to be in the
He's had
race.
a little flick into the wall and pulled it off and carried on. Agon is up 2 positions already. He had a nice, careful turn 1 and 2. There we go with green again.
Yep, back to racing, and Lethal Strike has got out of DRS from Chris Bailey already, which is very, very good for him. Colin up to 4th place. Saviour, after his trip into the grass, has emerged in P5, so he's lost a position.
I think Mahmoud Dev had a bit of an issue at the hairpin because he lost a couple of positions there.
Womax is in the pits.
Issue. Yeah, he's gone for his front wing. I think Friddy's doing the same. I'll keep an eye on them.
We've got Armour Red and
14th.
Armour Red and Lorpy were battling out of the first couple of corners. Armour Red just getting the upper hand, although Lorpy is still there and holding it. So this battle is going to continue. Still going side by side, and Lorpy now braking later into the next chicane and making the move stick for P9.
Friddy's having a right. Agon is having a right side by side with Captain Nibs at the moment. Captain Nibs is not giving way to the multiple time champ.
Oh, back up at the front. We've got Chris right on the tail of Lethal Strike now, and Saviour battling with Colin. Oh, it's very
carbon
close.
fibre Armour's round.
Oh, before the hairpin.
I think there's maybe been a little bit of contact there because he's missing an end plate, which you can see sat on the hairpin.
Yeah, yes, you wouldn't expect to lose it before there. That suggests it might have been contact. So we've had a change of lead.
Get a look at that one.
Yeah.
Chris is now in the lead.
And it's looking very close up at the front, at least between down to Saviour and LRL as well is within DRS.
Oh! Baby Hornet mowed the grass a little bit, lost traction, and Agoni's lost an end plate on the back of him.
Oh, that's
that,
really
that could be crucial.
Yeah.
Some of the guys at the back are going on to intermediates as well. We've got Friddy, Stube and Armour all on inters.
So it's a bit of a split on what the drivers feel they can get away with. We'll have to keep an eye on that, see what sort of lap times those guys are doing.
I mean, if it is going to intermediates, that might not play off too badly for Agoni if he needs to pit. With him missing an end plate. Yes, it's going to cost him 6 to 7 seconds while they change the wing, but it's better than the 20 odd seconds he would lose if nobody else pits.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it is raining. You can tell that it's raining, but the track just looks dry to me. It doesn't look like. I mean, you can see little ripples from the raindrops on the track, but it just doesn't look wet at all.
It don't really. Although Lethal Strike doesn't seem to have the confidence in his car. Just looking up at the front, and Ant is all over the back of him. They've dropped Saviour a little bit, who also doesn't seem to have much confidence.
Oh, Colin's made a mistake and he's lost out to LRL, drops back to P6.
I wonder if he got caught out on the back of Saviour because he was pushing Saviour around. Friddy's now the fastest man on track on the inters.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And past Lethal Strike as well for P2. Lethal Strike running wide out of the chicane, so he doesn't look like he's enjoying these conditions very much at all. Oh, it's very slidey down towards the hairpin for Chris and Anthony, but they held it.
We'll be playing Canadian Drift around the hairpin.
They absolutely were. I mean, what do these guys do now? They're seeing that the fastest time is from the inters. They're all carrying on.
I think it's really going to depend on the weather forecast. That's the unfortunate thing. We don't know what is forecast to happen in this race.
Yeah.
If it stays like this, then it's a bit of a mash-up what's the optimal. Because yes, Friddy's quicker, but is he that much quicker that it's worth everybody pitting? or can they hold out for the end of the stint they were going to do, then pit and get the inters?
Yeah.
Or are them inters just going to burn up?
Yeah, well,
That's the thing we don't know. We can't see his tyre temperatures.
No, exactly. And he goes fastest again. We've got Nibs in the pits as well. He's gone for the intermediates. So 4 drivers of the 19 have gone for the grooved tyres. Armour Red goes even quicker, 18.8.
That's a good time from Armour Red.
Yeah, and that was without DRS or anything. He's just done that purely on pace alone. We'll have to see what the kind of times the front runners are doing when they cross.
The times would say that obviously it is the optimal. Right, so Chris, his best is a 20.5, Ants a 20.3. Lethal Strike is in the 21s. Most are in the 21s or 22s. Zagone is in the 20s. So yeah, although Lethal Strike and Saviour have just said, sod your benchmark, here's a good time.
Yeah, I think
So
Chris and Ant were in the 19s as well.
I think it's really on a cross curve up at the moment.
Yeah, definitely.
I think if you can hold it on the dry is optimal.
Has it?
Because the inters will overheat.
Has it stopped raining as well?
It looks like it. So I think all these that have gone for the intermediates are about to get caught out. I mean, Womack's 17.8 on hards, or Stoob 17.6 on inters. They're trading fastest laps. It's like, which tyres do you go with?
Yeah, I mean, the Armour Red's now back in for the medium tyres, so he's had enough. I mean, that's really cost him, unfortunately, the decision to come in, because he'll be a long way back. But I think that's a sign that, and the fact that we've seen that it has stopped raining, and the track, yeah, it just doesn't look all of that wet, and we're seeing the lap times pretty evenly spread between the dry tyres and the wet tyres.
And Saviour, these times are falling rapidly. Yeah, it's definitely dried up now.
Yeah.
Some times were absolutely ridiculous from them two.
Oh,
Ugone's just taken his teammate and mugged off from single track in one move.
Wow. Oh, I joined that late, but it looked amazing.
Not giving up easily there, was he?
No, definitely not. But that's what we love to see. We love to see these guys, you know, if, say, you know, we all know how good Ugoni is, but if you're going to pass me, you've got to make it happen. You've got to put your neck on the line and send it.
He definitely sent it.
Yeah.
I think as the old race wing call would go, he licked the stamp and sent it.
Yes. He's got a fair way to. Yeah, he's got a fair way to catch up to the front four.
He has, but he's making it work, especially with an end plate missing as well.
Yeah. Just the talent of this man.
To say that that's happening. Chris and Ant just trading off fastest laps. From what I've heard, this sounds like a rerun of Monday.
It is a bit. It's not quite. It's happened earlier than it did on Monday. Okay, Ugoni fastest lap with a broken wing. I don't know what to do with that. That's just mad.
Can we just tie his hands behind his back?
I don't know if even that would be enough.
Make him race on a fish price wheel.
Yeah. Or a Wii wheel that's not connected to anything.
Definitely need something.
But yeah, just to come back to Monday, it has dried up a lot quicker than it did on Monday. I think it didn't really dry up until 15-20 laps into the race, whereas this one, it's taken 5 laps to get to this point. So quicker into the dry, so maybe the temps are a bit higher, and it's just allowed that moisture to evaporate a bit quicker, as once again these front 4 trading fastest laps. I thought Saviour was going to have a look at Lethal Strike into turn 1, but he thought better of it.
I thought Lethal Strike was off to cut the grass at turn 1. It didn't look like he'd slowed and turned enough. Agoni 12.8 with a broken wing. Wow. What is this man?
Insane.
In fact, he's not a man, he's an alien.
Yeah.
I know he's got clear air and 7.4 seconds to catch up, but give everybody a chance, man.
Well, second down to fourth have all got DRS, and he's still quicker than them.
It really is an exceptional driver. I've got to give it to him.
Yeah.
He's doing what Kid Dynamite used to do, starting at the back and looking like he's probably going to win the race.
Yeah, I mean he's definitely the
just
quickest man at the moment.
He's just gained 3 tenths on LRL at the hairpin. The gap went from 7.4 to 7.1 at the hairpin.
And
I know you can gain a lot of time there, but wow.
Yeah, let's see what he can do on this lap. There's no
Let's have a look at the
fastest laps at the front.
This battle is just intense.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that we've seen a bit on this game, is that you can get into a bit of a DRS train, which is good for them ultimately, because it pulls them away from the cars behind, except for Ugoni, of course. But yeah, that's kind of what we're seeing. Lethal Strike possibly now losing touch a little bit with Chris and Ant. Chris and Ant continuing their battle from Monday. These two are no strangers to each other around this track this week.
Do they not realise it's 2 days later?
Well, they're actually in first and second this time rather than second and third. And I mean, Ugoni is catching up, but they'll be hoping that they can stay in front this time.
If they want to stay in front, they may have to start working together instead of battling each other.
Yeah, definitely.
That's probably the only way you're going to keep Agoni behind you. I mean, he's taken almost a second out in the last lap. I know it's only to LRL, but the gap is not really growing between the front lot and LRL.
He's in the pits. Ugoni is in the pits at the end of lap
go have a look at
10,
this.
lap 11 even. And he's changing his wing. Is he going for the hards? I think he is.
He's gone for the hards, yeah. A little bit earlier than you'd want to pit, but I wonder if the tyre wear was a little bit pushed because of that broken wing.
Yeah.
Or maybe
yeah.
he's trying to get a tactical advantage of the undercut because he knows some of these other medium guys are going to come in soon. But they're also holding each other up with fighting.
Yeah. Saviour's just got past
not,
Lethal Strike.
They're quick, but they're not optimally quick because they're battling each other.
Yeah, and the thing is now, the front two have pulled away from Saviour and Lethal Strike, and I feel like, if in a weird way, the more people they could have in this group, it would be better for them. To sort of... Oh, and
car.
Chris, with a very late call to pit with that safety car. Lethal Strike and Saviour followed him in. Anthony did not.
Oh, that's probably absolutely gutting for Agoni, who's just pitted.
Yeah, that might...
I mean, a few in front of him are probably going to clear out the way, but it's not going to get him as many as it could have done.
No, well, he was behind LRL before, wasn't he, in P6? So, but I mean, everyone in front of him is probably going to pit, except maybe Colin on 3-lap old hards. Well, actually, maybe all the hard runners in front of him. They might fancy staying out a bit longer. Nope, doesn't look like it, actually.
Let's see what he gets, because he is moving up a few.
Now, Mahmood has just got a drive-through penalty for speeding under safety car, and this is very similar to what happened to me actually on Monday night, where you don't expect to get that when you come into the pits, but I don't know, it's happened a fair amount this week.
The deltas are all over the place.
Yeah, they're so slow coming up to the... Because obviously with the pit lane, you go straight on into the pit lane, whereas the delta is for the chicane, which is expecting you to go a lot slower. And it definitely caught me out.
I think it's catching a lot of people out at the moment, and the deltas are catching people out in general, but But it's one of them things, it's a learning curve, is a new game.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be full of little surprises just to catch you out that little bit.
Speaking of being caught out, Anthony has pitted now, and he has been completely screwed by the safety car, because he was, when it came out, he was just too late to box, and now he is going to lose quite a few positions.
I mean, he's looking like potentially ending up behind a Gurney nearly. Although because of the short run, he'd probably stay ahead of him. Yeah, he's come out just ahead of single track and a Gurney. So he has lost out badly there. I know Smith and Womax haven't pitted yet, and Colin didn't need to pit either. So that's 3 that probably don't really matter in that.
Yeah.
But that's still a few positions lost compared to what he could have done.
Yeah, and he's well and truly lost. He's going to lose touch with the front 3 who he was with before. There's no way he's going to be able to catch up to them without a few overtakes in between. So yeah, Anthony and Ugoni really losing out quite badly in this safety car. But you know, that's what we love about safety cars. It always shakes things up, makes it more interesting.
Yeah, and it makes it more challenging for a Gurney, I guess.
Yeah, and we need that. We really need that.
Although if he can dispatch single track quickly, we're going to get an earlier preview of the battle of a Gurney versus Anne.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So that could be something to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe they'll try and work together to move their way up. It's definitely cleared up as we start lap 14 in fact. It's looking nice and sunny now in Montreal, so given the fact that everyone's gone for the hard tyres at the front, you'd imagine that we'll be dry from here on out.
Well, you would hope so. That'd be a bit cruel if it went wet again. No, it's pretty bunched, so I would imagine the safety car will be in this lap at least. So then we can get back to the racing action and track going his fight through the field. And obviously we had good battles at the front with Chris, Lethal Strike, Saviour, and when he gets back up there. There's definitely plenty of action to be had yet. I mean, Armagh will probably be thankful for this safety car because he was in the land of nowhere.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
And he seems to be the main challenger for Agoni at the moment, so he needs to be right up there. I believe Colin is tier 2 reserve, Smith's tier 2, Womax is tier 2, so a lot of the guys he wants to be battling with are right up there, and he's stuck at the back, miles behind.
Yeah, and it should just be purely about pace from here. There's no need to try and second guess the weather like was happening at the start. So hopefully it'll be onwards and upwards for Armour Red from here. But the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap.
Yep, Chris is weaving away, trying to get some moderation of heat into the tyres.
It's virtually impossible on the hards. They take so long.
Impossible on the softs.
Yeah.
The only way you seem to be able to get decent heat is by racing.
Yeah. Always
Bring back that esports trick where you could just hold the brake and warm it.
Yeah. Oh, Lethal Strike with the 3 seconds.
Yeah, must have cut that chicane a bit too much.
That's going to cost him because these guys are pretty clean when it comes to track limits. They are not going to be making many mistakes as the race goes on.
Wow, Agoni got very drifty there coming out of turn 2. He's trying to make things happen very quickly and it almost cost him.
Yeah, he's not quite as close to the back of single track as you might have expected him to be.
Oh, he's back there now.
Yeah, 2 corners later.
It's only because he drifted round turn 2.
all these
I was kind
time
of debating
penalties.
going into turn 1, was he about to lick the stamp? Saviour looks like he's taken lethal strike again.
He has, down into the hairpin. Oh, and there's Womack's up the inside of Smith as well. Lorpe looked like he fancied a bit of it at the same time. Oh, and there's single track
off. I don't
into the
think there was
wall.
actually contact there either. I think he's just got on the power a bit too much, trying to avoid a gurney, and it's spearheaded into the wall. Looked very unfortunate, that did.
Yeah.
Because I was actually on board with the gurney when it happened.
Anthony has got through ahead of Smith up into 8th place, but up at the front now, Chris and Saviour really holding all the cards at the moment, with lethal strike and Colin behind, both with time penalties. We suddenly got a real rush of time penalties there just after the safety car
Yeah, we did get
came
quite
in.
a flurry of them, didn't we, in the first few corners?
Yeah. So there must have been quite a few drivers there close to getting the 3 warnings. Ugoni now.
Agoni is right on the back of Ant. I thought he was going to make a move there. And Ant's flashing like crazy, which is going to be like a red rag to Agoni, I reckon.
Yeah.
His saving grace could be the DRS though.
Yeah, it will be active, and Ugoni and Anthony will both have it. Ant is past Lorpe already. Ugoni not close enough at this time. Big improvements from Chris and Saviour up at the sharp end.
Obviously it's every man for themselves in this one as well, so there is no team play.
No.
So Agoni has to fight his way past Lorpe normally.
Anthony,
time penalty.
Yeah, that's going to make it even
Mahmoud
harder
has
for
been
him.
disqualified. Didn't serve his drive-through. I think that's one of them unfortunate ones. He's got it, and then there's been a safety car. He's planned to pit obviously afterwards, and it's just not happened. Or he's forgot he's got one, and it's lights out. Well, curtains for him. Early bath.
Yeah, let's see now if Ugoni's being pretty patient at the moment. He's he looks quicker than Lorpe, but he can't do anything about him at the moment, as Saviour with DRS goes ahead of Chris. So I think these two are going to work together here to hold on to the lead and set fastest laps and hold off the likes of Ugoni further back.
Yeah, I mean, them two are used to trading places and battling hard, but they know when to battle and when not to battle.
Yeah.
The race isn't won on lap 18, it's won on lap 35, so playing sensible for now is probably a good thing. And then battle for the last couple of laps, make it entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah, the
That's what the
gloves
esports
come
drivers
off.
do.
Yeah.
If it's a 35 lap race, for 30 laps they'll just drive in tandem.
Well, they're also close together in pace as well, that they do just... There's never more than a second separating the entire grid of drivers. It's crazy to watch sometimes.
It really is. Memorising at the same time, it's like, how can people be that quick? Oh, Womack had a moment at the hairpin. I think them 16 lap old tyres are coming back to bite him now.
Yeah.
Because I saw the same with Smith as well. He was struggling like crazy on his 17s.
Yeah, they'll want to get them a bit further before pitting. I'm assuming they'll be going for a one stop on the mediums, so they're not quite in the window for that just yet.
Well, it will technically be a two stop because they've already pitted.
That is
End
true.
of lap 1 because of issues. So
Yeah.
I don't think Smith has actually. I think he is on his initial set because his has just gone to 18 laps. So he's just trying to make something work by going very long.
I'm surprised that Ugoni is still behind Lorpe.
I suspect he won't be on the next straight.
No, Lorpe's lost DRS now.
Yeah, because Womack's had that moment, he's put him out and he's lost his safety buffer now.
Yeah, Anthony in front, just about too far ahead to activate the DRS for him.
Go.
Yeah, and that's easy in the end for
He's
Ugoni.
not going to get LRL because he's all over the back of him.
Let's see. Yeah, looks like it into turn 1. Over the finish line, and they were pretty much alongside. So that is P5 for Anthony, although he does have a penalty. Ugoni now up to P7, and Chris in the meantime went back into the lead ahead of Saviour, and Colin and Lethal Strike are still there holding on to their coattails, but they both have, I think, 6 seconds of penalties now.
Yeah, Gurney wasted absolutely no time in closing that gap, did he?
Yeah, it's just relentless, his pace. Every corner, you know, when he's behind you, he just closes the gap all the time. It's almost like he's got his overtake button switched on constantly, but that is just the pace that he's got.
Yeah, it's very impressive to watch, but it's like, how can anyone be that quick?
Yeah.
And that consistent with it? And then you find out he's in an Italian league and he's not even mid-pack.
Yeah, this just shows the standard of driving just generally in this game. And you're going to...
I mean, I sit there thinking, yeah, I know I'm not as quick as I used to be, but how can I find this much time? I can't even get to a Gurney's level, let alone some of the other people around.
No. It's and the thing is, I feel like I wouldn't even know how to do it. Like, where would I even start? You know.
Oh, LRL just clinging on to that DRS.
And this seems to be the strategy for Ugoni. He just waits on the back of these guys to lose the DRS, and then he can just pounce.
Will he get it this time? It's going to be very touch and go. I think he's going to have it though.
Saviour passes Chris.
I'm sure the detection is just on the exit of the hairpin. He hasn't got it. There goes a Gurney.
Yep, into P6. I'll tell you what we're seeing at the moment.
These colours, it's like I couldn't dream of it.
Yeah,
but
and the fastest
we've got
lap.
Chris and Saviour are separated by minuscules.
Well, what they're doing is what you were suggesting earlier. They aren't battling each other. They are just taking it in turns up at the front, benefiting from giving each other the tow and the DRS, and it's working beautifully at the moment. They've pulled out of DRS range from Lethal Strike and Colin, and they're really just dictating the whole pace of the race right now.
Yeah, the goal is on an absolute mission because obviously he needs to dispatch Anne and then try and get up there.
Yeah, and
Anne's going to be on a, I really need to drive faster, I want to be back up there, I've lost out because of a safety car. And we know he's got the pace, and there we go, Chris and Saviour just swapped again. Colin and Lethal Strike have just swapped as well.
Yeah, they seem to be working together as well, although Lethal Strike wanted to have a go, but without the DRS it's almost impossible to do, as Ugoni once again with the fastest lap. 11.7.
I mean, you're almost at qualifying pace now for the lower tiers.
Yeah.
And that's on hards with a good chunk of fuel. It's like the skill of some of these guys. I always get nervous if I'm following too close to a car in front.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to phase the likes of Ugoni at all.
Don't phase a lot of the tier 1 guys. They drive around like they're esports. They all brake at the same point, accelerate at the same point. Oh, what was that?
Oh, Lethal Strike. Where has he lost it?
The hairpin.
And that has made him vulnerable, although he's going to come back at Ant for fourth. What can Ugoni do? Can he take the pair of them? Well, not quite for Lethal Strike, although Lethal Strike's super slidey in the final chicane. So
gets him on the way past the wall of champions, because Lethal Strike was just all over the place there.
Yeah,
I don't think his tyres had recovered from the hairpin, went in hot and it just would not stick.
Yeah, and that has given Ugoni the opportunity that he needed to put himself past both Anthony and Lethal Strike, and now he's got a small gap to Colin, less than 2 seconds, and then it will be Saviour and Chris Bailey.
You'll be chasing him down going, that's my car.
Yeah. You already mentioned a red rag to a bull when it was the red light on the back of the car. Well, now he's got the actual red Ferrari to chase.
Certainly has. He's doing a good job of it so far.
And already closing that gap as Chris once again gets past Saviour. I'll be interested to see if this does work for these two, if they can hold off Ugoni with the strategy that they've played so far.
It's going to be interesting to see who wins this one. Can them two at the front hold off a very, very fast charging Ugoni who's dragging Ant along with him?
Saviour 3 seconds. And that has... Well, that's just going to give Ugoni even more fire to catch up, but it means that, well, does Saviour now sacrifice himself to help Chris win the race? I guess he's got to, really.
Possibly, although there's no team play in this.
No, there has... I mean, they've definitely been working together up to this point. But, wow, didn't expect that from Saviour, but unfortunately that has probably ended his chances of winning, because he's not going to be able to pull away 3 seconds. And Ugoni already attacking Colin for third. And through he goes.
Now the battle is on, 4.8 seconds.
And another fastest lap. So Ant now, he was holding on to Ugoni before, so he'll be hoping that he can keep that up. Oh, Lethal Strike is out of the race. Where has he lost it? Can't tell really. Oh, I think that's in the pits actually that Lethal Strike has gone. And I think Simba might have had a connection issue, so we've lost him for the time being. But yeah, Lethal Strike retired in the pit lane, so that won't be a safety car or anything like that. We will just carry on. I wonder for Simba if that was his PlayStation letting him down at last. He was saying that it was running quite hot. I hope that's not the case and that we can get him back, but we'll have to just wait and see. And similarly, we'll have to wait and see what happens with this battle now that really seems to be between Chris Bailey and Ugoni. Ugoni's still 4 seconds back from the leaders with 8 laps to go in the Canadian Grand Prix, and Ugoni is just towing along Colin and Anthony. So they've done a good job here of sticking with the flying Italian. Yeah, Simba's just confirmed to me that his console has overheated, so that's a shame. Ugoni still bringing that gap down. 3.5 seconds now. And he is in the background of that shot. The two Cash App RBs And Anthony has gone through ahead of Colin for 4th place, and Colin gets another 3-second penalty to boot. All went a bit deep into turn 1, but gets it slowed down for the apex of 2. And he's just about, well, he's right on the cusp of losing DRS. That'll be crucial for him. If you lose DRS, you're just going to see the driver in front sail off into the distance. Chris and Saviour still working together nicely, but the gap is reducing still. 2.8 seconds to Ugoni. The Italian stallion probably feeling inspired after Charles Leclerc's victory at Monza last weekend, and after his own victory in Tier 1 on Monday. Started at the back tonight, but it really is but a minor inconvenience to him. 12.2 on that lap, and Ant has just about, well, it's still hovering around a second. It's sometimes going over and then going under again. Colin just behind still as well, staying in the DRS of Anthony. And then you've got LRL, Lorpy and Wumax all fairly lonely out on track at the moment. Armour Red in P9, so he's recovered well after his start where he put on the intermediates and then found out that was the wrong call, as it turned out. Irrevoice in P10, and then Stu 11th, Kaiser Soze 12th, Friddy P13 with Smith just behind, and Baby Hornet and Single Track. Unfortunately now, after his spin earlier when he was in front of Ugoni, it's not the best time for him at the moment, as Chris has started to pull away from Saviour. Saviour doesn't have DRS, and Chris has pulled the lead out to over a second. Ugoni really pulling Ant along as well here, so even though there's a few driver penalties involved at this late stage, there could still be a fair few interesting battles to unfold here in the final 5 or 6 laps of this race. Colin now has lost touch, unfortunately, with Anthony and Ugoni. And surprisingly, Saviour lost touch with Chris, which once again has changed things, because it means now that Chris and Saviour are not going to be able to work together with the DRS to hold off Ugoni, who is closing in. You can see him in the background, just getting ever closer. You almost wonder if it's worth Chris slowing down slightly to give Saviour the DRS so that he can defend from Ugoni when he gets there. Armour Red gets past Wumax for P8 into the hairpin, and then gets a big slide coming out of the traction zone. And Wumax comes back at Armour Red, in fact, with that. Battle still going on into the chicane, and Wumax bouncing over the curbs after losing out to Armour Red. What about Irrevoice? Can he do anything down into the first corner? He's not close enough. These two running penalty free, so they might still be able to finish ahead of Armour Red. But here we go, lap 31 out of 35. And it's Chris. Saviour's caught back up. Yellow flag in sector 3 is for Friddy, who I think made a mistake out of the final corner. There's some front wing on the racetrack, but it's cleared by the time that Chris and Saviour get there, and Ugoni is almost within DRS range of these front two. This could be a cracking finish to the X-Treme tier race tonight. There we go, the top four all within a second of each other, so there's going to be plenty of DRS to go around. There's Friddy just ahead with his wing damage, and he has got a heck of a battle catching up to his rear wing. Saviour didn't have a great exit from the chicane there. That might make him vulnerable to Ugoni. Oh, and he locks up into the hairpin as well. Has he lost DRS even? I don't think so. Looks like he had some battery to burn as well, because he has pulled away a lot, but I don't think he has got DRS. So Ugoni will catch back up. And he's just so confident on the brakes into the final chicane. Saviour does actually have DRS, but Ugoni closing it all the same. He's going to be on the outside. He brakes so much later than Saviour, and he takes second place. Wow, that was incredible. The confidence under braking that Ugoni had there. It was like Saviour was standing still as he went around the outside of him. And now is on the back of Saviour. Not close enough. Ugoni's going to get another dose of DRS on the straight here, and Chris Bailey has got the view in his rear mirror that he did not want. The Mercedes, the Silver Arrows of Ugoni right on his rear wing, and Ugoni might get this done on the back straight with DRS. He looks a long way back at the moment, but with the DRS open, that gap is going to come down so quickly. Let's see what kind of an exit he gets off the hairpin. Not the hairpin, sorry, the final chicane. It's pretty good. He's in position, and Chris is going to squeeze him towards the wall on the inside, but Ugoni on lap 34 out of 35 takes the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix, having started last. Unbelievable stuff once again from the Italian, and going around the outside of Saviour to try and take third. Saviour breaks later, there's contact. Oh, and Saviour holds on for now, but can Anthony get a good exit? No, he's not there, he's not close enough. Chris Bailey has not lost touch with Ugoni. This is lap 34 out of 35, so if Chris... And it's actually started to rain again with 2 laps to go. And that is going to make it even more tricky for these guys on old hard tyres. They've done at least 20 laps each. So the traction's not going to be there. It's going to be slippery. DRS still enabled though. But you can see already that the track has got a bit slick, and they are starting to struggle. DRS is still active, so that is going to keep Chris Bailey in the fight on this final lap, as there's an Aston Martin facing sideways. I think that was Baby Hornet. But here we are, final lap, and it really is still all to play for at the front. Oh, Chris losing it a bit on the exit of turns 7 and 8, I think that was. He really needs to be getting this right now. Oh, and Ugoni with a big slide coming out of that chicane, and that keeps Chris interested. He really needs to nail this traction. Ugoni absolutely sliding his way through the hairpin. It is raining quite a bit. I think the track visually has got a little bit worse as well. But this is what it comes down to now. DRS is active for Chris Bailey up to the final chicane. I don't think he's going to be close enough. Can he get a good exit? Oh, a big slide from Ugoni. Ugoni gets 3 seconds on the final corner. And that is going to give Chris Bailey the victory in Canada. Last lap, last corner incident, but maybe not how we expected it. Ugoni deep on the brakes into the final chicane, runs wide over the exit, and it loses him the race. He went all the way from last to first. One mistake, well, a final mistake, because obviously it's 3 warnings to get a corner cutting penalty, and it has cost him the victory. And you could see from Chris Bailey's reaction, weaving the steering wheel across the line, he enjoyed that, and he got a P2 in Tier 1 on Monday. He's converted that to a P1 in Extreme Tier on Wednesday. And just to run down the rest of them, Saviour was 3rd, Anthony in 4th, LRL up to 5th with the penalty situation. Colin, I saw, was getting quite a few penalties there towards the end. Lorpy in P6, Armour Red P7 in the end. So a good job from him to come back after his early decision to pit for the intermediates when the track was probably not wet enough for it. Colin in 8th place, and we'll run through the rest of the results in a minute. I'm sure that the game is going to give driver of the day to Ugoni. No surprises in that, and you'd be hard pushed to disagree. You can see how wet the track was there by the end. And there we are with the podium. Chris Bailey, the winner of Extreme in Canada. His teammate Saviour is up there as well, and Ugoni, who almost had another win, but that late rain that we didn't know was coming really threw a spanner in the works. Made it a really fascinating conclusion. And yep, here we have the full rundown of the results. So yep, Chris Bailey wins from Ugoni, Saviour, Anthony, LRL, Lorpy, Armour Red, and Colin. And then it's Wumax in 9th position, Kaiser Soze taking the last point in 10th, Iravoice in 11th, but penalty free. Only one of 2 drivers, I think, to achieve that, so well done, Iravoice. Smith in 12th, Stube in 13th, Friddy in 14th, and a lap down. And then single track, Baby Hornet, Lethal Strike, who looked so good for so long in that race, but unfortunately retiring at the end. And then Mahmood with the disqualification, and Captain Nibs, another DNF from that race. So what an interesting race it turned out to be. It was bubbling up nicely, and then the last 2 or 3 laps had absolutely great drama, and a victory for Chris. Unfortunately for Simba, who was joining me for comms tonight, his PlayStation overheated, having raced in Tier 3 earlier as well. Hopefully that's not a problem beyond tonight. Hopefully that can be fixed quite easily, but it was good to have him here all the same. And for now, it remains for me to say thank you very much, everyone, for joining, and we will be back on Friday night for the X tier, and it's the Spanish Grand Prix this week, so we'll be off to the Catalunya circuit in Barcelona for X tier on Friday night, and we look very much forward to seeing you all for that. But until then, thank you very much for joining me tonight, and have a very good rest of the week.